On behalf of the ECR group, Mr. Martin Callanan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me first of all say a word to Mr. Verhofstadt. He talks about a PR campaign to convince people of the necessity of a rise in the budget. I think he wants to start on his own political family. The two largest components of his group, the German Liberals and the British Liberal Democrats, are both part of governments, the last time I looked, that were calling for a freeze in the European budget. So perhaps he wants to talk to his own group before he tries to convince the rest of us. And listening to Mr Schulz, Mr Verhofstadt and others, it is sometimes hard to imagine that the supporters of the so-called European project actually want it to succeed, because they seem to me, by their proposals, to be doing their very best to discredit the whole idea of the EU in public opinion. Because how can the EU justify a substantial real increase in its budget of something like 5 to 7% at a time when every national exchequer across the whole of the EU are cutting back on their budgets? Mr Verhofstadt, more Europe is not the answer to every one of our problems. The public have long since stopped believing that more Europe is the answer to all of our problems. In no country in Europe that I am aware of do they want more Europe. Perhaps they want a better Europe, perhaps they want a more efficient Europe, but nowhere, not even in Belgium, are people calling for more Europe. In none of our member states are the public calling for more European taxes, and frankly nobody believes you when you say that more European taxes will result in less contributions from member states. People believe that they will be paying more money towards Europe, and frankly some of the speeches that you make, it comes of no surprise to any of us that that is what they believe. This MMF proposal is yet another wish list by a European elite which every day becomes more and more distant from the concerns of ordinary people. And it is not just David Cameron calling for a budget freeze. It is the leader of the Netherlands, it is the leader of France, it is the leader of Germany who are also calling for a budget freeze, Mr Verhofstadt. We believe that a freeze is the right way to go. It should have been proposed in the first place. That is the proper response of the European Union, looking at times of austerity across the whole of Europe, to say to people that we share your pain, we realise that times are hard in public expenditure. Mr Barroso, you should be looking for cuts, for reductions in the European budget, and they should not be too hard to find. Your own Court of Auditors has refused to approve the EU's accounts for the last 16 years in a row. 1,000 of your civil servants earn more than the British Prime Minister. Mr Barroso, there are plenty of opportunities for savings in the European budget. That is where you should be looking for cuts, rather than coming back to member states and asking for more austerity.
Dziękuję bardzo panu za wypowiedź. Pan Miguel.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor.
Question. Well, are you ready, Mr. Callanan? Are you ready to answer? Okay, blue card. It's absolutely blue.
What I want to say is that I have here the reaction of the French government on the proposal of the Commission. And instead of what you are saying, this reaction is positive on the nature of the proposal of the Commission. They are saying that what on own resources is presented by the Commission can be the topic of a discussion on the condition that these new own resources can also lower the national contributions of the nation states. So against what you are saying here, the French government has reacted positively to this complete radical change of the budget. And I think that time is right that you say the truth to your own people. You do not want to give power to your citizens. What you want is to continue a system of national contributions where it are the heads of states and the heads of governments who are discussing between themselves about their net payment position.
Thank you.
That is what's happening today.
Thank you for your question. Mr. Callanan, answer.
It was not a question, but nevertheless.
Yeah, Mr. Callanan, answer.
Thank you, Mr President. I am not taking lessons in democracy and power to the citizens from Mr Verhofstadt, the person that forced through the Lisbon Treaty without any referendum. Where was your trust in the people then? Why did you not ask people whether they were in favour of the Lisbon Treaty or not? And I have not seen his piece of paper, but I have seen a letter signed by President Sarkozy, along with David Cameron, along with Angela Merkel, along with the Dutch leader, calling for a freeze in the EU budget. It is Mr Verhofstadt that wants to get real and get out and try and convince his own political family before he convinces the rest of Europe.
Thank